Hey guys, Rob Murphy from Holistic Healing Choices here, and today I'm just going to share a bit of personal stuff that's been happening lately and a few realizations that I've had about my past, growing up, and all that sort of thing, because maybe it might even help you to be able to break out and do better in life, as it's been able to help me do. So, one of the biggest things is I am an only child with a single mother, right from a very young age, like 8 months old. She took incredible strength to be able to leave my abusive father and do the best and give me the life that I've had. But in that too, I have been always on my own, as I can freely admit now, afraid. I was very, very fearful of even just stepping out, making connections. Even now, this is still a little bit raw to talk about. But I'm going to persevere and get through it anyway, because maybe this story will help someone else. So right from a young age, I was a happy child growing up, but some way, I don't know what event it was, caused me to change and withdraw and become very much an introvert, very scared or not being able to contribute or put myself out into the outside world, like very closed off and fearful of rejection, I guess, is the biggest thing here, you could say. Now, that might have happened at school, it might have been even just my mum actually telling me to shut up, or I'm annoying, or something. I can't remember what it was. There are multiple little instances of things, events that happen, but I don't think there's any one significant one. So most of it probably happened around about year 3, when I was probably about 8 years old, is the time I can remember sort of not being able to relate or get into the outside world. Now, in those struggles too, I found myself dealing with it and somewhat becoming more of an aggressive or angry young child. And for that, it served me in that way. Like, it was everybody else's fault, I was angry at everything, I was biased towards whatever the hell I thought was right. Part of the reason that I wanted to review that movie Metal Lords was because I was a bit like that. Just angry at the world, didn't know why, couldn't put my finger on it, it wasn't like made it clear to me, but I was the loner, the lone wolf, the one who was just out there doing things by myself, for myself. Wasn't that I wasn't a nice person or not willing to contribute, but I just never thought about it. For whatever reason, I was hurting, so I was just withdrawn in here. Part of the reason that I got into like the heavier side of music, the horror movies, the gore stuff, because it was a fearful response. If I could listen to, watch, joke about the most heinous things, those things that scare other people, that other people don't like, then it would condition me in that way. And it worked. So for full disclosure sort of thing, like I can watch horror movies and whatever else, the most brutal, violent, whatever stuff, but I never slipped into the real, like the pictures of real deceased people or whatever, because I always had that line. Like I could watch a movie where someone's head explodes or whatever, and yeah, fine with that. But I never even wanted to watch the real stuff. There was always, I had that connect with reality in that case. I was watching all this stuff so I could deal with something if it did actually happen in the real world. And it actually closed me off. So the more that way I wasn't being able to feel, the more with everything else I wasn't able to feel. There have been times in my life when something absolutely amazing happens and I just feel blocked off. I've got sick of it. I've recently been doing and working on myself a whole lot so that I can be more open, so I can be better in that way, be out in the world, to express myself, to feel a lot more as well. Now, there are a few things that do close me off, and relationships are a big part of them. For a long time, I've been like the strong one, the supportive one. I don't really talk about my work too much because I deal with people and their issues, and I don't really want to tell anybody else about those issues. Maybe if something funny does happen, I keep all the names out of it and all that sort of thing, but I don't normally talk about my work because for a lot of people too, it's very personal to them as well. I hardly ever talk about my military stuff because I don't see it as anything exciting or useful, or people are probably just going to get bored if I do talk about it. And that goes for a lot of other things as well, martial arts as well. I hardly ever talk about any of that because I did feel that I was boring, that it wasn't worth people's time to listen to me about that. Even these videos have been helping me just to open up. How can I make this engaging, exciting, and whatever else for people? And how can this then help someone else start to change their life, start to take that perspective? So I'm breaking the loner paradigm. This has been running for countless years of my life. And part of that comes from the fear of missing out. I was one of the first, in my friend group or whatever, to actually have a job. And with that job, I worked mainly weekends. I was always saying yes to extra shifts, blah, blah, blah. It was just a simple retail job, stacking shelves. But I was always working when people would plan things. So I was always missing out on that. And then even if I did go and do those other things, I'd have the fear of missing out of work on that money. And growing up, we didn't always have a lot of money. Especially right in the early days, my mum had to look after her mum who was sick, so she was doing a lot of sewing and alterations and little odd jobs to just make ends meet as well. That's always been ingrained in me as well. But getting back to that, I'd have that fear or that guilt of missing out, and always that worry about missing out on friends, family, fun times and stuff like that. So I decided to turn that into I don't need those people, I don't need to go have those experiences, work. And for a long time that shut me off from a lot. So I'm begging you, have experiences. Go do things that you're passionate about. Spend time with the people that mean the most to you. It is vital. And it is vital in you being a more compassionate, more empathetic, more sympathetic person in the world, which is what we need a lot more of at the moment. But anyway, getting back to the point in the story there. So I was the loner. I was working a lot. And even significant others that I'd had in the past, where I'd choose work over them, started to resent me for that as well. And in the end, it wasn't really worth it. I mean, I'm no longer with those people or have really any communication with those people. It did change me and change my values, my beliefs, and all that as well. Going after money isn't the only thing that should matter. So there's a lesson in that as well. And especially running my own business now, I've been working 6 days a week, 1 day off to make a video or do whatever else and clean up and do all the other odd jobs. So it wasn't really a day off either. And that made me miserable. Made me absolutely miserable doing everything myself, all the cleaning, all the preparing, all the work, the actual physical work as well, from 11-hour days or whatever else I was doing. It really started to get to me what's the point in living if I'm not actually living? If I'm just working, and I mean, I love what I do, but you can have an overindulgence of stuff, be it food or actual physical working. It made me resent everything, and I could just feel myself withdrawing. So I actually reached out for help. Now, in the past I have reached out for help before, and gotten help from various sources or whatever, but it wasn't the right help. So in being able to break this loner paradigm, you need to make sure that you're reaching out for the right help. The right help for me in this case started with Joanne Antu. So I had a CTC session with her, as I'm a CTC therapist myself, but these things were coming up for me that I just could not break, could not get past without some outside perspective or outside help. So I needed that. Then I think a week after that, I went away and did my Kahuna Level 3 course. We did processes and everything else to further get me out of my comfort zone and further make me realise what was actually going on. Why am I this way? So why was I this loner paradigm? Now, one of it too is because sometimes when I do express myself, other people get hurt. Now that might be because I'm too blunt, or what's going on in my head is definitely not what they feel is what's happening. But you need to have those tough conversations with people, because otherwise all that resentment builds up and causes you to push people further away or to further close off. And that is only going to end up killing you early. No other way to put it, it's only going to end up hurting everybody else around you in the long run, rather than having the conversation, doing the work or whatever else you need to do about it, and getting past it, getting through it, making them aware of what's going on for you as well. Now, if they do get hurt from it, that's okay. At least you're being the honest party in it. If they can't handle that, then that is their problem. it's your truth. You need to speak it in order to be able to break this paradigm. Now, for a long time too, like, I still love my heavy metal. I wouldn't say love horror movies, because let's be honest, some of them have been quite shit lately. But I appreciate like the effort behind it. I'm able to step out of that reality and think, oh wow, what an amazing guitar riff. I don't even really care about the lyrics. They no longer resonate with me in that way. And with the horror movies too, it's always, how did they do that? I love all that type of stuff. All that nerd stuff that goes in behind the scenes of a movie. Whether it be horror, whether it be whatever, but horror normally have like the most realistic special effects that they try and can. Getting back to this, realize that you are not alone. Realize who is in your support system. You may even have to make a list about it. So I do have good friend groups. I do have good family support, like my loving wife. Even if she can be she's a little bit more moody. So she's a lot more in touch with her emotions than I am. And she will allow everybody to feel those. Which is like, well, I can't unload my stuff onto her, so I'll just have to keep it. And it can be the same with mum as well. Growing up, she's always been you're not having a bad day because I've had this worse in the past or whatever. She's always in that one-upmanship of negative experiences. So when I had a bad day, she's had one worse, so I shouldn't feel bad. You need to find something that can validate you, or someone who can validate you, whether that be a therapist, my mentor Joe, whether that be just an online thing even, like online therapy, online help or whatever, just journaling, whatever you need to do to be able to vent that out and express those things to let them go. Because as Brené Brown said, the less you allow yourself to experience the bad, the less you can actually experience the good in life as well. So things like happiness, excitement, all those things I'm starting to get back into and allow myself to feel, because I'm allowing myself to do the deep work and feel all the bad stuff as well. Now, being a therapist, you do have to take some stuff on your shoulders with that. So even just a massage therapist, because people open up because of the psychosomatic implications of that. Working on the body, you're actually releasing the issues in the tissues. So I've had to do that, and I've had to have my own little things to release that. Just a bit of Reiki and stuff for myself. But it does to allow you to feel more. If you're feeling for your clients, that's a good thing. You don't want to jump in the pit with them, because then you're in the problem as well. Allowing to express that sympathy or that gratitude to them for even just opening up and sharing is a huge, huge step. I might have got a little bit sidetracked with this video, but the thing is, break that loner paradigm. Whatever you need to do, there is support out there for you. And another reason I was in that loner paradigm too is because we would reach out to people and it wouldn't be the right help. So even our logo, back in the early days, we wanted to change our logo. So we got a graphic designer in who we knew through mutual friends. It didn't sit right with me getting this person in to do this, because we got her in and she came back with a few designs. We said, oh, could we change it up a little bit? And she sent back the same design. Getting the right help is important. If feelings are hurt in the business world like that, then that person basically shouldn't be in there if they can't accept the criticism or the changes or whatever else they need, or whatever else you need. One thing too, breaking this loner paradigm, put your needs first as well. There have been too many times where I've taken on so much stuff of other people's that I've just forgotten about myself, forgotten about my health, my fitness, whatever, because I've got to get to work, I've got to serve this person, I've got to do this thing, I've got to do this at the detriment to my own health, sanity, whatever you want to call it. Putting yourself first is a huge thing in going to just make you happier and get you out of your shell. Because the happier you are, the more likely you are to actually engage with other people. And to think about the media sources that you are using at the moment. Death metal, grunge, horror movies, those sort of things, and even YouTube videos to a certain degree sort of have a negative connotation around them. They're all talking about negative stuff, talking about drama, talking about how bad other people are, or how bad you are, like yourself. What you surround yourself with also really helps in what way you're going to be feeling. So if you surround yourself with negative stuff, news, fear, dread, drama, that is what you can expect to be feeling from day to day. You just may not even be consciously aware of it, but it's there. Basically, in summary, to help yourself to break that loner paradigm, realize the support that you have around you. And if you don't, go out and get some. Make a call to a therapist, a psychologist, someone who can help you break that. If you've got terrible family, then don't worry about the family. If you've got terrible friends, do something to improve your life, like learn a new skill or try a new sport or do some self-development work to attract newer, better, brighter people to you. I've had to do that as well, like getting married, everything was going well and I was on top of the world. And one of my friends who was, about to be my best man pretty much, broke away. He just couldn't deal with all this. It wasn't about him. Couldn't do that. And I'm really okay with that. It was like the trash took itself out in this case. Because he could do a 90-minute phone call and by himself, pretty much. I'd just sit there saying, yep, cool. Well, he was just basically telling me how good he was at his job and how everybody else sucked and that sort of thing. And I didn't need that sort of vibe in my life anymore. And so it just took care of itself in that way. So things will happen, things will change when you start to change your perspective. I did have to have a conversation with my wife because she talks about her job all the time. It felt like I wasn't being supported. I'd just come back from this Kahuna Level 3 course and it felt like she didn't even ask me what happened on it. So I made her aware of this by having that conversation. She didn't even realise this was happening. Well, all this resentment and I was starting to feel myself close off again was starting to happen. So just by having that conversation, it changed the whole thing. And now we're back on a good page once again. And my mum is an incredible, strong, supportive pillar in my whole entire life. We're building a business together and it seems to be going really, really well. Both of us are happier than we've been in ages because I've been happier and because I've been able to work on my past issues and stuff, which timeline therapy, if you haven't tried it, is amazing for that because it's also been working on her stuff. The day after my CTC session, I felt alright. She felt absolutely flat crap. And I thought, yeah, okay, that's definitely because we've worked on your issues as well. I've changed, raised my vibration, so now you're unfortunately left with the whole thing of going through the yuckiness part of it to deal with your stuff to come up to a higher vibration as well. Yeah, now we're just happier. Everything is going smoothly, swimmingly, both in my work relation and in my marriage. And I'm also getting to the gym more, I'm doing more for myself and just enjoying life again. Laughing more, spending more time actually with friends, not excluding myself from things because, as an introvert, I need solitude or whatever. Life's changed for the better and it can for you too. Make sure you actually allow yourself to get out there. Once you get into that situation, it's probably not even half as bad as what's going on in your head. And that goes for those tough conversations as well. What you're going through probably isn't even what their reality is. So once you express yourself, you might be actually very surprised to find what they do or how they react to it. But anyway, guys, trust yourself, trust your instincts, but be open to that change as well, is probably what I'm trying to say here. I am breaking that loner paradigm. I am going to be inviting and interviewing more people on this channel as well, so we can build a community. It's okay for me to be healthy and everything on my own, but I want to start to spread that love, that wealth, that health out into the world as well. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this one. I probably rambled on for way too much. I'm Rob Murphy. Please remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.